Hey guys, this is a market update. If you hold Bitcoin or crypto now, things are getting serious. This is the Bitcoin price punching through resistance. This is the altcoin market cap, X Bitcoin and Ethereum. You can see it's just broken resistance. We're going into potentially an uptrend here. So it's important to realize what's happening, how long this can last, and the one thing you have to look at in terms of what is going to move prices. So let's have a look at that in this video. Firstly, with BTC, these are the ETFs right here. We are about 3 or 4 weeks away from ETFs being accepted for Bitcoin. I believe they will be. Gary Gensler is doing the rounds in the media right now saying the court decided that we need a spot ETF, so we have to give it. Everything's getting lined up for the approvals around the 10th of January. Yes, a lot is being priced in right now. We've had a massive move. The Bitcoin ETFs are getting priced in. The rate cuts are getting priced in. We know the Fed now saying we're going to cut rates next year. So the market's excited and a lot of pricing in has occurred. But let's just go through this bull market cycle in this video. So if you want to trade, check out the deposit bonus down in the description to Bybit. Make a trade and deposit up to $30,000 with that. What we want to look at is crypto Bitcoin, because it's all going to react to this one thing. So if you're in Bitcoin, if you're in crypto, it's time to allocate for the bull market, right? We had this downtrend. We had this bear market. You can see this, and things have changed, right? The landscape, the macro landscape has changed. The Fed saying we're cutting rates next year. All the big central banks collude with each other. The US, UK, Europe, Japan, they collude with each other and raise and lower around the same times. That's the way they do things now. The Fed are cutting. They think inflation is inflecting to the downside so violently that they're actually now telling you, we're going to cut, we're going to cut. They're trying to ease market conditions now, even before cutting. So they think inflation is falling off a cliff, and they need liquidity to start to come back up again. Liquidity is the one thing we need to look at, which is this. The liquidity cycle, this is from Raoul Pal, GMI. You can see this. Crypto, Bitcoin, stocks, they're all going to get their prices off of this cycle. When liquidity inflects to the upside, that is a bull market. This drawdown was the bear market. Look what is happening now. We are inflecting back up to the upside. Crypto, long duration, it's going to massively move when liquidity is inflecting back to the upside. So as long as we know this is happening and the cycles, we can play this market. I'm going to be making an update to the crypto investor course in January. There's about 15 videos coming. If you have the course already, that is coming free for you. The price is going up though. All updates are free. So if you want to look at the course now, link below, you can get the December price with the updates coming in January. All updates are for free. You can check the link below for all the details there. But we need to know liquidity is inflecting to the upside. And this means that crypto, the Russell in the States, low cap stocks, it's all going to inflect to the upside. Interest rates coming down, liquidity potentially starting to increase again. That is going to push asset prices up. So what should you buy? I personally want to buy very solid long-term plays. But I'm also aware that the riskiest garbage shitcoins are going to pump as well, because we're in a liquidity expansion with this and lower interest rates. None of us know how this cycle is going to play out, whether inflation is going to start inflecting to the upside again and central banks have to come out again. We don't know that, but you can see these cycles are pretty long and they go along with the Bitcoin cycle. So inflection to the upside and downside moves asset prices. This was the major bull market we had. This was the recent bear market. We're inflecting back up again. This means you are going to see many altcoins and the riskier stuff pump and all of this. So play this how you want. If you're in risky stuff that genuinely has no fundamental value whatsoever, you need to make sure that you're aware that it's only going to go up as long as liquidity is increasing and central banks are in this cutting cycle. When they aren't there anymore, that stuff is going to fall 99%. So if you're in that stuff, make sure you realize what part of the cycle that we're in. So let's look at this. This is from Glassnode here. We're going to look at this long-term holder percentage supply in profit. Looks a little bit confusing here, but you can see this orange line. This is bull and bear markets, right? So the percent of supply and profit during a bull market goes up to 100%. Basically, the whole entire Bitcoin network is in profit. That goes for crypto as well. Most things go around the same time. During a bear market, the people that bought at the top, of course, come to a loss and that goes down. You have the bull transition here, right here. This is the bull transition going into very high profitability. Again, prices rising up to near all-time highs. Those that dollar cost averaged are now in profit. If something is at an all-time high, everyone's in profit, right? Apart from those people that buy at the absolute very high and never buy again. But most of us are dollar cost averaging here. Then you get a period in time. You can see that. That's the expansion phase. We are going into that now. You can see the expansion phase here where everyone's in profit a lot because the prices keep moving up and expanding into new all-time highs. Bear market comes down. Bear transition here. Now we move back into the bull market with the bull transition going up. This is the pandemic, which is an outlier, but you can see basically the bull transition goes into the all-time high. Bear transition in this bear market that we just had. Bull transition. We just transitioned into the bull market where you get this massive expansion in profitability. It's happening for BTC, and that is the key for all other assets. The riskier assets going up even more because they're smaller, there's fewer coin holders, there's fewer coins around. And you know what happens with crypto and altcoins and shitcoins. If you want to play with that, you just have to make sure that you're playing when you're getting this transition, this expansion up to the new all-time highs for BTC, and when the central banks are cutting rates and easing a little bit. When you get this drawdown, when you're up here, you don't want to be playing in shitcoins because the next phase of the market is not to the upside again. So we are actually, I think, fairly well into this bull market right now, right? Because we've bull transitioned. You're not early. You are not early to anything right now in this phase. So if you think you're early to altcoins, you're not early to altcoins. They've already pumped, right? There is a bull market left, yes, but just make sure you're not here in 6, 8, 9, 10 months time, also thinking that it's going to be the case that they go up another phase. In 12 months, the next phase is to the downside for the liquidity cycle. So we have to make sure that if we are playing around in crypto, trading short term, make sure you know what part of the cycle that we're in. A lot of what is happening now has been priced in over this last 6 months, right? So the Fed said, oh, we're cutting rates in 2024, right? But we've been pricing that in for 6 months now. When it was 15, going to 18, 20, 25, that was the market and early adopters actually pricing in what is happening now. So 6 months ago, 8, 9 months ago, people were trying to price in what is happening now. Now you have to be pricing in what is going to be happening in 6 to 12 months time. That is the top of the bull market around about. If in 6 to 12 months you're still really bullish, maybe you shouldn't be, because in 6 to 12 months after that, the next part of that cycle is probably not another huge bull market. So make sure your timing's right, because the decisions you're making now should be paying off in 6 to 12 months. So as long as you still think there's an expansion phase or we're still within that phase, that's okay. Always think 6 to 12 months ahead if you're making a decision now to trade. So that's one thing. This is global M2 and the Bitcoin price. Very, very correlated. M2 is money supply around the world. So you can see when you get contractions, the Bitcoin price goes down. When you get expansions, the Bitcoin price goes up. Contraction down, massive expansion was the last bull market here. And then we had that contraction and a kind of sideways chop here. But now the Bitcoin price is starting to price in this expansion yet again. Most people are aware, and it's consensus now, that this probably is going to happen, so another cycle. But these are very choppy, so just be aware of that. This is the Bitcoin price versus global M2 year over year. So this is the actual billions in global M2. This is the percentage change in global M2, which is also very enlightening. You can see very correlated. Expansions in M2 is a new all-time high for BTC. You had that expansion here. And then what we've just been through, which is one of the worst contractions in global M2 ever. So money supply contracting, asset prices go down, everyone, it's a bear market, right? It's kind of a recession or a slowdown. So you got that here. Now we are expanding. So this has been going on for a while. We're not new to this cycle. The best time to buy is when you get this contraction right here, the absolute bottom of the cycle, which was this. The absolute turn in the cycle was the FTX blow up, 15K, then we started turning, and then Bitcoin started inflecting. Bitcoin is a reflection of this only, and everything else is as well. So you can see here, we have had a massive inflection to the upside already. So buying here was great. The next 6 months isn't going to be down further. Buying here, probably the next 6 months, 12 months is probably another inflection up to the upside, it would seem. But in 6 to 12 months time, if M2 is up here, the next inflection is not to the upside. It's probably down towards normality because the central banks want to keep it within this range. So knowing where we are in the cycle is extremely important because Bitcoin and the rest of crypto is going to react to that. This is Dan Moorhead from Pantera. As you can see here, thinking that Bitcoin is up 162% this year is good and I'll take profit is the wrong mindset according to him. It's up almost that much every year. The 13-year trend growth rate is 117% per year. Bitcoin as a proxy for our industry is still very cheap according to him. Looking at this, you can see this is the growth trend of Bitcoin over time. So a difference between secular trends, long-term growth trends of actual fundamental growth versus price cycles that the central banks give us. Price cycles force price up and down, but the long-term trend is very clear, right? We've just had one of the worst contractions of global money supply ever in recent history. And of course, Bitcoin was knocked off track. But if it catches up to the normal trend rate of growth, you're seeing a big growth here. So the bull market, according to the Bitcoin cycle, would be 24-25. That's the real bull market. Very, very choppy, as we know, but this seems to link up with that, right? Because the actual network is growing. So keep that in mind too. Here's a graph of the deviation of Bitcoin from its 13-year trend growth rate. Even after the rally this year, it's still 74% cheap to the trend. So these are the trends right here. As you can see, the best time to buy an asset that is growing in a secular trend to the upside is when the price cycle is down at its bottom, and we're here yet, and we're here now. Again, we are inflecting out of this now, which is great news, and there's a long way to go, but just make sure if you're in altcoins that you want to trade, just make sure you're early on in the cycle and you're not late to the party like a lot of people are, getting stuck at the top when the next phase is a drawdown and you get an 80% drawdown. Bitcoin does that too, 70% drawdown in the bear market. So if you're a long-term investor, then you're just dollar cost averaging through that because you believe in the long-term fundamental growth of that thing. But if you're in a meme coin, there's no long-term fundamental growth, let's be fair, right? So if you're in that, you got to know what you're in. If you're a trader, Bybit deposit bonus down in the description, 30K. Updates coming to the crypto investor course in January. I've got about 15 videos on my strategy, how to think about this cycle, a lot of macro data in there, just to make it easier for you guys. If you've got the course already, that's coming free in January for you. I'm James, it's Money ZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.